Welcome to the meditation mindset training video. Now, I hope that at this point you have seen the mindset workout number 1, where I just encouraged you to really become more aware of your thoughts and being present. With that, I want to take that one step further, and I want to talk to you about the concept of meditation. I know that there's a lot of stigma and ideas behind meditation that turn people away, such as the idea that it's this super new age, hippy-dippy kind of thing. Or that you have to sit with your legs crossed in silence, holding your fingers a certain way in order for it to be proper meditation. And that is not the truth at all. What meditation is meant for is really to help you connect with your inner world. Your inner world being your thoughts, your heart and soul, your breathing, your mind, and really connecting, because this is where our intuition lies. This is where great ideas come from. This is where creative outlets come from. But this is also where all of our beliefs and thoughts and inner self come from, which is what you've been practicing with being present with your thoughts. So, first I'm going to tell you what I want you to do with this week and to start to incorporate in your day-to-day life, and then I'll explain to you a little bit of the science behind it. I would like for you to start with just 5 minutes a day, sitting in silence, focusing on your breath. And by silence, you can be sitting in your car in silence, you can be sitting on your bed, you can sit at a park, you can just sit with your coffee, whatever you want to do, as long as it's silent. And all I want you to do is focus on your breath. So for a lot of people, that's really hard to do because they try and sit in silence and they have all these things going on in their mind, and I don't have time for this. I have 100 things I got to do, 5 million calls to respond. And that's exactly the reason why you need to do it. There's a quote that says that when you think you don't have time for meditation, that's exactly when you need to do it. It is not expected that when you sit in silence, everything is just going to feel peaceful and perfect and all the thoughts are going to go away. What might happen is the first few times you do it, you might have so many thoughts popping up in your mind that it's going to be challenging. That's okay. This is why it's called practice. And the more you do it, the easier it will get. So, when you're sitting in silence and focusing on your breath, I don't want you to change your breath at all or do anything with it. I just want you to become aware of it. Are you breathing from your chest? So here's how you know if you're breathing from your chest. When you breathe, does that happen? Do your shoulders and everything come up and contract? And that's how you're breathing? Do you feel constriction here? Or are you breathing from your belly? Here's how you know if you're breathing from your belly. You can put your hands on your belly. Take a deep breath in. You're breathing from your diaphragm, from your lungs. You have very little movement up here, and you'll feel your hands come out, and your hands will come back in. You want to breathe from your belly. Here's the reason behind this, is when you're breathing from your belly, this is where your lungs can expand and contract the most. It's where you're gonna get the most oxygen. You can take the most in and you can let the most out. What happens to us though is when we are stressed, when we're doing a lot of thinking, we have a lot going on, we feel out of breath, we tend to breathe through our traps and our chest. So that's when it gets, you can tell like, there's not as much breathing there. This is also stress breathing. So it produces anxiety. It can cause just a lot of like tightness in your upper back. It can make you feel really uneasy. It's because it's coming from your chest, so it constricts it. There's only so much that your lungs can take in this way. Your lungs are built to expand this way. So for this first time, for the 5 minutes, and set a timer, you can set this on your phone for 5 minutes and then put it away because this is all silent. I want you to just pay attention, and for 5 minutes, I want you to just focus on your breath and just, that's it. What'll happen is you may be able to get a few breaths out of this, and then your mind starts to wander. You're thinking about what you gotta do, what you ate, what you didn't eat, the workout you did or didn't do, who you didn't call. Your mind is naturally gonna do that. Instead of getting frustrated of like, oh, I'm trying to silence my mind and be with my thoughts. Instead of getting frustrated, as soon as you realize that you're doing that, just bring your attention back to your breath. If you're sitting here breathing and now you're thinking of a to-do list and your mind is going crazy, well, back to the breath. Inhale, exhale. That's it. And that's all I want you to do for 5 minutes. Now, Here's the reason behind this and the science and why this is so important. Our minds are built with 3 different tiers. Okay, so we have this part of our brain, and this is all our actual brain when I'm speaking of our mind. We have this part of our brain, we have kind of the middle, it's like inside the deeper part, and then we have this part like right back here, that's part of our brain. Each part of our brain functions differently. This part, I would say 100% of the time, we are functioning from this part of the brain, which is what causes the thinking, the analytical, the logic, the getting things done. It also can put us in the future worrying about where we're going, but it also can leave us in the past of regret and fear and all these other things. So a lot of times that's where we function from. Now, if you did the first video, you're gonna notice that's where all your thoughts are. The thoughts of like, I am good enough, I am not good enough, I am capable, like all the things that you're thinking all day long that were on autopilot, but because you're now more present, you're not on autopilot. That's all coming from that part of our brain. So we then have the part back here called your subconscious or your higher thinking self. This is where 95%, this statistic is amazing to me, 95% of what dictates our reality comes from our subconscious. The 5% part of our conscious brain that is thinking and doing and being analytical is only 5%. However, just like you learned with being present in the first video, you have to slow down enough through breathing and through being present to turn down the volume of this part of your brain and turn up the volume of this part of your brain. So the whole point behind meditation and when you're focusing on your breath connects to that part of you. And by being present, by being aware, and by just breathing, the noise kind of eventually starts to slow down. So when your thinking brain gets louder, you hear all this chatter and thought and talking and things are going crazy and you're having such a hard time focusing and just breathing, it's because this is on overdrive. This is on overdrive for most people, so don't worry about it if that's the case for you. So when you're breathing and you're becoming present and you're just letting it be there, just letting those thoughts, whether they're good, bad, happy, sad, whatever they are, letting them be there, your breath, because it's happening every few seconds of an inhale and exhale, is what keeps you grounded in the present moment. How does this translate into anything having to do with your fitness, right? When you're doing a workout, a lot of times what happens when you start to feel like you're running out of breath or you've pushed yourself too far, what happens? We start to breathe really heavy from our chest, okay? There's a lot of things that can happen with this. Not only do we run out of breath really quickly, but we also can end up pulling our trap muscles, our neck muscles. We can totally end up screwing up a lot of this stuff just because this was not meant to breathe super heavy, but sometimes we do that. So when you learn to connect to your breath, and this is the whole idea behind the yoga practice, we're just incorporating this with a different aspect of fitness. When you learn to connect with your breath, and I do this myself, when you're lifting and when you're strengthening the body and you're doing these exercises, when you start to feel out of breath and you're like, oh man, like all you need to do is like take a few seconds and don't totally stop. Take a few seconds and just like, okay, from the belly. And I do this in a lot of the videos, as you'll see. I do this in a lot of the things at the very beginning. I tell you, okay, check in with your breath. Where are you breathing? Are you breathing from up here? Breathe down here. And you're gonna get way more oxygen into your lungs. You're gonna be way more present. You're gonna be actually connected to the fitness and doing the workout based on the present moment and not doing it based on thoughts or preconceived ideas or from your past or from your future. You're doing it based on who you are in that moment, which is why this is so important. So, now that in the first video, we had you become more present and more aware of your thoughts and just paying attention to what you're thinking and what's going on every day, I now want you to set aside 5 minutes in the morning and at night. Ideally, if you can find a time right when you wake up and right before you go to bed to set aside those 5 minutes, that would be the best, because like I've explained, this is when your subconscious is most fresh because you're either really tired or sleepy or you haven't been caught up in a to-do list, that it's easier for you to be able to access that. So 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes at night, And all I want you to do is just sit with yourself wherever you are. You don't have to cross your legs and put your hands in like a certain position. Just sit with yourself for 5 minutes and just breathe. And you'll see that as you do that over time, it will start to ground you in the present moment and keep you peaceful, or just like no matter what is going on in any area of your life, that is something that you can control, is your breath. And in those 5 minutes, you're gonna realize that you can let go. If it gets challenging and you're doing it and you try it 5 times and you're like, nope, I'm not sitting in silence for 5 minutes, it stresses me out, keep doing it. Do not quit and do not use it as an excuse. Because after time, eventually, when you learn to allow whatever is going on in your mind to be there, and all you're doing is you're just focusing on your thoughts. I like to do it with my eyes closed because I feel like it immediately like, whoop, puts me inside. That's all you need to do. When you start to do that, you're gonna realize how much more connected you are to what you're doing in your day-to-day life. It makes you present. I would also like to challenge you that if you can do this, start to do it anytime you're triggered. If you're triggered and you're angry, or you're triggered and you're sad, as soon as that trigger happens, come to that 5 minutes, even if it's 2 minutes, and just focus on your breath and see if it doesn't help dissipate and alleviate some of that and make a difference in that as well. So this is your second mindset training video, is to practice sitting in silence and the art of meditation in your own way, and play around with it. See what works for you. Do you like sitting on your bed and doing it? Do you like doing it in the car? Do you like being outside? Do you prefer 10 minutes? Like, play around with it and really make this your meditation practice and connecting your mind to your body, and you will find that that translates over into your fitness and other areas of your life as well. Check out some of the other videos, and thank you for watching.